Hey, y'all. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but Maggie is taking her after lunch nap. And so she's over there just snoozing. And, I wanted to take some time, make another short video, hopefully short. Talk about something that kind of in the news right now, and I don't want to. I'm going to try again not to be too political here, but just kind of get some things off my chest that I think people need to realize. And I consider myself to be, and I've always been told, and I'm a pretty smart guy. I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent person. When I was a kid, people would talk about how smart I was. I went to a small rural school in Arkansas, and I had graduated with a class of 33 people, but I was valedictorian of that graduating class. Which don't take all this to be. I'm not bragging. Dizzy Dean used to say, if it's fact, it's not bragging. So I'm not bragging here, but I'm just kind of telling you things that to get to my point. I went on to college. I got a bachelor's degree in agribusiness from Arkansas Tech University, and I won't say that I graduated cum laude or anything. I didn't graduate with honors, but I graduated. I got my degree. And when I got out, I thought I was a pretty smart guy. I had a lot of things, ready to change the world. Got my first real job. I had a couple of jobs right after graduation, but got my first real job, if you will. And it was a little disappointing because it didn't have a corner office in a high-rise building or anything like that. It was pretty low man on the totem pole, dirty, hard work. But in a little while, they moved me around a little bit, gave me I won't really call them promotions, but just moved me up in the ranks some and put me in different jobs. All the while in the background, I think this all culminated to something. But after, I don't know, I won't say how long it was, but after a while in that job, with that company, the boss came to me one day and said, "I want to talk to you." And we sat down in his office, and he offered me a pretty good promotion. And I was really happy to hear that they had recognized, my potential and everything. And so we talked a little bit, and he said, "One of the reasons I'm doing this is because you're the only person in this organization who has a college degree." And that made me kind of puff up a little bit. My chest kind of puffed up, and I had a wry grin on my face and a knowing smile, kind of, "Oh yeah." And in my heart, I was thinking, my degree is paying off. I'm coming around. I'm going to change the world now. Things are going to be good now because Terry is on the job. There we go. We're there. And I think he could see that, and he stopped and looked at me straight in the eye, and he says, "Let me tell you something. I'm giving you this because you have the degree, but that doesn't mean you know a damn thing." But he said, "What it tells me is that you know how to learn." And that kind of took me back for a little bit. But I'm going to tell you, folks, that was my first lesson in wisdom. I say that. I had others that were really early on in my life that were really lessons in wisdom, but this is the one that really hit home and woke me up to, whoa, wait a minute, there's something to this wisdom thing. Knowledge is a very powerful thing. Education is a very powerful thing. Being smart is a great thing. Being intelligent, being educated, all great things. But they pale in comparison to wisdom. And you don't get wisdom overnight. In our country right now, there is a movement that is starting to rumble a little bit, and you're hearing things about how the younger generation is ready to take over, that the old fogies need to be pushed out, and the new, fresh new faces need to take over and show them how it's done. Well, my friends, wisdom doesn't come overnight, and wisdom doesn't come in a few years. And wisdom doesn't come from waiting tables for a few years. And wisdom doesn't come from being elected to an office. Wisdom comes with time, and lots of it, and lots of learning, and lots of paying attention, and learning from wise people. Now, I think I have learned a lot of things in my 61 years from a lot of wise people. And I have become a wiser person over the years. I'll tell you that I don't have a great deal of wisdom. I'm not overflowing with wisdom, but I have a lot more wisdom than I had when I was 29, 30 years old. So let's just kind of take a look at that. You know, one of the things that I learned early on was to respect my elders. And one of the other things that I learned was that I should not only respect my elders, I should try to learn from them, because they've been there, done that, they've got the t-shirt. One of the wisest guys that I ever knew, come to find out later on in life, I learned that he had a third grade education. Never made it past the third grade. Yet he was one of the wisest guys I ever knew. Smart man. And made something of himself. Pulled himself up by the bootstraps and made something of himself. And made a name for himself. People really loved and respected the man. That came with time and, again, paying attention and learning. He didn't have it when he was a kid. He learned it over the years. And the longer he went, the more wise he became, and the better he became at what he did. But he didn't try to tell those who were older than him how to do their job. Instead, he paid attention to how they did their job and what they told him. Now, he didn't always do what they said, but he took what they said and learned from it. And again, it might be that he learned, I really don't need to do it that way, or here's a better way. I can do this better. I can build on this and make things better. And that's what wisdom is. Wisdom is making yourself better based on paying attention to those who have been there before, learning from them. And that brings me to a big point. And again, I'm not going to be political. I'm going to try to be as apolitical as I can. But there is something out there floating around that I look at and absolutely wonder who in the world thinks this is a good idea. Okay? There's no way. It's not going to happen. The logistics behind it is impossible. Truly impossible. There's no way. Now, I will tell you right now, I am all for making our environment better. I'm all for people having opportunities for jobs and to have a good life and a better life. The Constitution, if you read the Constitution, they worded it. I've said this before. They chose their wording very carefully. And they always come back to a couple of things, but I said, life, liberty, and do you notice that third part, the pursuit of happiness? Why didn't they just say happiness? We're going to guarantee you life, liberty, and happiness. Because the founding fathers understood that we can't guarantee to make you happy. There's no way I can guarantee, any of us can guarantee everybody is going to be happy. So what they did was they fumbled around with the wording and they finally came up with this pursuit of happiness. That's what it's about, pursuit of happiness. We're going to guarantee you the opportunity to be happy. And you can talk about white privilege, you can talk about discrimination, you can talk about all those other things. Fine and dandy. We've worked on those things through the years. We've become wiser as a country and done things like pass I think it's the 13th Amendment, that abolished slavery. We passed the amendment to the Constitution that gave former slaves citizenship and the right to vote. Gave blacks the right to vote. Gave women the right to vote. Another amendment gave women the right to vote. All of these things were the right thing to do. Again, going back a few videos ago. All those were the right thing to do. And we did them. We learned. We became wiser. And we're still getting wiser. But I think we're at a point now as a country that we're pretty doggone wise in a lot of ways. And now, all of a sudden, somebody's going, whoa, wait a minute. You old fogies, y'all, you want to live way back in the past. And we want to be progressive. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I want to be progressive too. I want our country to progress. I want our country to progress. I want it to get better. I don't want it to get worse. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen if we turn over our country to the kids. Yes, they're the future. They are the future. The here and now. You better learn from those of us who have been there and done that. You better learn from the wise men. I'll go back to the Native Americans. And it's not just Native Americans that did this, but I'm going to use them as an example. The Native Americans, for the most part, the tribes were run by a chief, okay? And that chief was usually not just the ruler, the king, if you will, or monarch, but the chief was the kind of the deciding force. He had the last word, let's put it that way. But the chief was always surrounded, and he was always in the older, wiser, elderly part of the tribe. It usually was the eldest of the tribe. Not always, but usually the eldest of the tribe. But he surrounded himself with elders. The elders of the tribe. The older people of the tribe. Why did they do that? Why did they live that way? Why was that their form of government? Because they knew that wisdom would trump knowledge every time. And so these guys were the older, wiser, been there, done that folks of the tribe, and they would make the decisions for the tribe. Because they knew and they understood that. And folks, in the United States of America, we better start waking up to that same fact. Respect your elders, number one. Number two, learn from your elders. We've been there, we've done that. My mom is 90, will soon be 92 years old. She's pretty doggone wise. And so when she speaks, I tend to listen. Okay? And, I'm 62 years old. So when a 29-year-old person tells me that she knows better and she's the boss, sorry, lady, I've been here twice as long as you have. I'm wiser. I know. Guys, I hope you like my page. Hope you like this video. If you do, please like, please share, and tell all your friends. I'd like to get a bunch more likes. I'm growing daily, but I'd like to grow even bigger and better. So like, share, read your Bible, pray, and go fishing. Later, guys. Bye.